Now, empathy has been a buzzword for a long, long time, and with good reason, to be totally honest with you. It's not one of those buzzwords that needs to go away. It's one of those buzzwords that we just need to understand it a little bit deeper so that we can actually put it into play in a constructive way. So let's take a look at the neuroscience of empathy and how it relates to social awareness. Now, the ability to empathize with others is really, really crucial when it comes to social awareness and especially interpersonal communication. Now, empathy involves the ability to understand and share the emotions and experiences of others, and it's essential for building and maintaining positive relationships with other people. Now, in recent years, the neuroscience of empathy has been the subject of increasing research as scientists really are trying to figure out, well, what's the neural basis of this, what is a very complex social process? And we thought that this was something that was very unique to humans. And we're now starting to see empathy displayed in other animals. And there was an experiment done very recently that involved rats. And it basically, long story short, is one rat had to free another rat, and it was and the rat that was not trapped had some food that it could eat and eat up. And what they found was it might eat some of the food, but it would always leave some of the food, and then it would go and release the other rat from the trap and allow it to eat. And so we're now starting to see that other animals are capable of empathy as well, and it's unfolding, and we're learning more about these different cognitive and affective processes that are mediated by different neural systems in the brain for us to be empathetic. And these processes include things like perspective taking and emotional regulation and reward processing. And all of this is thought to be really important for empathy. Now, one of the key neural systems involved in empathy is the mirror neuron system. And mirror neurons are a type of neurons that fire both when we perform an action and when we see somebody else performing the same action. And these neurons are really important for imitation and for learning and social cognition. Social cognition is social awareness. And we think that they also might play a really key role in empathy by allowing us to simulate the experiences of others. Now, another important neural system involved in empathy is your prefrontal cortex, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So your anterior cingulate cortex is involved in regulating emotional responses, and it may play a role in monitoring and modulating empathetic responses to others. Now, your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, on the other hand, is involved in cognitive control and executive functioning. So it may play a role in inhibiting egocentric biases and enhancing perspective-taking abilities. So we've got a whole bunch of things and a whole bunch of different sides and different ways that we're coming towards this, which seems like it should be enough, right? But in addition to these neural systems, there's also a number of neurotransmitters and hormones that are really important for empathy. These include ones that we know: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, all of those ones that are involved in social bonding and reward processing and emotional regulation. Now, here's the thing, right? Despite a whole bunch of smart people looking at this stuff and the growing body of literature on the neural basis of empathy, there is still a lot that is unknown about this, what is a complex social process. For example, we're still not really clear how different aspects of empathy, like emotional empathy and cognitive empathy, are mediated by different neural systems, or how individual differences in empathy may be related to differences in brain structure and brain function. And that means that we are able to develop targeted interventions, but we are being a little bit more broad with how we approach these interventions right now. And we know that empathy is generally considered to be a positive social trait, but there are also potential drawbacks to excessive empathy as well. For example, empathy can also be associated with emotional distress, and that can lead us to burnout, particularly among people who work in helping professions like healthcare or social work or not-for-profits. You know, those people that we know that they're so empathetic that it hurts. It actually hurts on a very visceral level, and that comes through them simulating those experiences that they're seeing other people undertake and experience every day. So the neuroscience of empathy, it is complex and it is rapidly evolving on what we know, and this is shedding new light on the neural basis of social awareness and interpersonal connection and communication. And while we still need to know a lot about these neural bases of empathy, research has highlighted the importance of a few things, like our mirror neuron system, like those prefrontal cortical regions, like those neurotransmitters and those hormones that are needed to mediate those empathetic responses. So we can continue down this road and we can continue to further understand the neuroscience of empathy. And when we do, we're going to be able to develop new interventions and new therapies that will enhance social cognition and improve social awareness and improve our ability to be empathetic. And that's where we want to get to. We want to get to a point where this is functional and it's constructive and it allows us to connect in a more genuine and a more meaningful way, but not to the point where it's debilitating, not to the point where we are grief-stricken and we're so empathetic and feeling so much that we're actually unable to be productive. It's tough being on the outside and looking in sometimes, especially when there's things that we think we can change or we can help or we can have an impact. And that's a great place to start. Just make sure that you're not letting yourself get too carried away with it to the point that you can't help, to the point that you can't make a difference. Because really, that's what empathy is there for, to help us get in the right frame of mind to be the best version of ourselves so that we can help those around us in the best way possible. Bye now.